really just an impact to inspire people, and always showing them that the duality of life is not such a bad thing. We go through so many volatile situations where we don't really know how to connect or, communicate how we feel. So through my music, I want to make sure that's the legacy, showing people how to communicate, and it's okay, if you're not perfect. It's about accepting the beauty of imperfection.
Gone are the days when Compton-born and raised KDot would get on stage to wow audiences. The years passed and this young talent became the rapper we all know as Kendrick Lamar. After building a long and impressive career, we can now enjoy his fifth studio album split into two sides. Side A, which is Mr. Moral, Side B, which is The Big Steppers. Despite his evident successful career, Kendrick uses this double album to express his feelings through trauma, breakthrough, and spiritual consultations in 18 songs that are presented in scrapbook format. Kendrick's vulnerability and honesty are fully explored in every track. Mr. Moral begins with United in Grief, a track that fully details Kendrick's lavish lifestyle that includes fine jewelry, real estate investments, and even luxurious cars such as new Mercedes with black G-Wagon. However, it's not all about the money and the rich lifestyle in this track. Kendrick also opens up about entering therapy to deal with his mental health issues. The second track is N95, with a title that refers to the N95 mask that people wore during the COVID-19 pandemic. But this is not just a pandemic song, even though it was produced during that time. Instead, the track focuses on the facades that people have acquired and superficial coping mechanisms. The music video for this song came out the day after the album was released. It then became evident that the video had been shot in September 2020. In it, Kendrick's posture is compared to that of Jesus Christ on the cross, which matches the various religious themes found in the album, including the cover art that features Kendrick with the crown of thorns, just like the one Jesus wore when he died on the cross. N95 is followed by The Dense Worldwide Steppers, a track that covers a lot of relevant issues to the current political climate. From cancel culture to shame and self-criticism, Kendrick explores the ways society has failed due to its own shortcomings. Kendrick doesn't even leave himself out of the criticism, as he acknowledges that some of his actions could be questioned and judged by people like his ancestors. Worldwide Steppers features an introduction by Kodak Black, and the track is also used by Kendrick as an outlet to talk about the things he's done during the years he's been absent. Undoubtedly, the most important thing that's happened to him in the last couple of years was fathering his two kids, who apparently are the reason he's more grounded now. Honoring the themes of psychological growth and psychotherapy, Kendrick continues his album with his track Die Hard. In it, he explores the possible consequences of being vulnerable with someone he loves. Overall, he's afraid of losing a lover due to opening up to her, but in the end, he admits that he has to let go of the past and give this person a chance, as she's not like the other women he dated in the past. Kendrick continues opening up about his struggles with mental health on the track Father Time. This one starts with a sketch in which Kendrick's partner, Kenry Alfloyd, suggests that he should seek professional counseling. Then, Kendrick goes on to talk about daddy issues and how these play a role in development of gang culture among young black men. After Father Time, we're hit with the first interlude called Rich. This one is not only performed by Kendrick, instead, it features the familiar Kodak Black and Sampha. Gotta admit, Kendrick's a genius for putting these two together, they're complete opposites. Kodak uses this interlude to talk about the problems he's had in the past, while he admits that he's in a better situation now. He also confesses that he's afraid of coming across the problems that he's had in the past, so he has to decide to live a life that keeps him away from that. The Rich interlude is followed by Rich Spirit, a track that could almost make Kendrick sound a bit narcissistic and full of himself. But the reality is that he's just using the track and highlight his own qualities to stay strong amidst the criticism he receives. As Rich Spirit comes to an end, we're introduced to We Cry Together, my favorite track on the album. This track starts with the vocal sample from the song June by Florence and the Machine. The sample is followed by a 6-minute long discussion featuring Kendrick and Taylor Page.
Bitch, fuck you, nigga. Nah, fuck you, bitch.
At first, the track sounds like a typical ugly argument between a couple, but some people read Taylor's lines as if she's representing the state of hip-hop that hates Kendrick for being absent for 5 years. Finally, the side A, Mr. Moral, closes with Purple Hearts. At first sight, anyone could think that this song is about the military decoration that's awarded to people who are hurt and die in battle. But, however, the color purple, along with several themes explored in the album, might give this song a different meaning. Purple could also represent physical marks, bruises, and even codeine or lean. Ultimately, in the context of this album, this song might represent a heart trying to heal after the heated argument presented in We Cry Together. The album side B, The Big Stepper, starts with a track called Count Me Out, which is about Kendrick starting a new chapter in his life after leaving a relationship that didn't offer any good for him. The song concludes that Kendrick is too good for the person that he just left, and with that, more positive feelings start to come up. Count Me Out is followed by Crown, a track in which Kendrick raps about things that he's doing for his community as a leader. The song also talks about the love he has for his family, his friends, and himself. The title of this track also reminds us that Kendrick is wearing a crown of thorns on the cover of this album. In one way or another, religious themes pop up throughout the narrative displayed on this album. Then Kendrick presents us with Silent Hill, a track that also could have a couple of different meanings. In a way, this track is about life and success, but also about fake friendships. In other parts of the album, Kendrick references silence as a way to cope with his mental problems. So it could be that Silent Hill reinforces that theme. However, it should also be noted that Silent Hill was the name of the video game that was popular in the late 90s and early 2000s. In the game, players found themselves surrounded by monsters, so it could be that Kendrick sees himself as surrounded by monsters, especially if he's talking about fake friendships. After Silent Hill, we're introduced to a second interlude. This time, the name of the interlude is Savior, which is performed by Baby Keem, and he uses it to talk about his experiences growing up. Then, the song leads to a powerful outro that naturally transitions into the song that's called Savior. With the help of Baby Keem again and Sam Do, Kendrick uses Savior to talk about brokenness of our current society. To make his point, he references key problems and issues of recent times such as racial issues, political correctness, COVID-19, and he ends it by talking about his own struggles. Kendrick reminds us that we're all human, that we shouldn't put our eyes on other humans. His point comes to life as he reminds us that he, as a public figure, is a flawed person. Personally, I'm not gonna lie, I think that's why he put Kendrick on the album multiple times, because he knew that people would hate it. But that's just my opinion. Big Steppers explores new grounds as it transitions to Auntie Diaries, a track that uses the story of two transgender people to criticize society and the discrimination faced by the LGBTQ community. Auntie's Diaries cleverly ends with Kendrick talking about a time in 2018 when he invited a white girl on stage to perform Mad City with him. The person pronounced the N-word and got criticized by a lot of people. Just like it was offensive to hear a white person use the N-word, it's also offensive for a queer person to be called the F-word, especially when it comes from others, not from that actual community. By drawing parallelisms, Kendrick uses his experience as teaching moments for his followers, and then he turns it into a smooth transition that leads us to the next song, which is called Mr. Moral. Mr. Moral starts with the lines, "It was one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't sleep last night. I felt that shit." Which is still referencing the infamous moment in which he was joined on stage by the insensitive fan. But then the song goes on to talk about generational trauma and excess, which is in line with the constant themes of psychological growth and therapy. This song marks the first collaboration between Kendrick and Tana Leon, and it also features Sam Do in the interlude. Mr. Moral is followed by Mother Not Sober, one of the most genuine and vulnerable tracks in this double album. During this track, Kendrick continues opening up about his battles and how his mother was a victim of abuse. Later in the song, Kendrick goes on to explain how he was never addicted to drugs, but to lust. He then criticizes the sex culture and the way it affected the black community. He also talks about how his lust addiction led him to cheat on his fiancée and how he became an abuser as opposed to the victim, just like his mom feared. But this song doesn't end hopelessly. Instead, it presents us with Kendrick breaking up the chains of generational curses and reaffirming the constant theme that he's still a human who is likely to make mistakes. Kendrick then ends the album with Mirror, a song that talks about living in another world full of selfishness despite his efforts to keep a modest image, by saying he can't live in the Matrix and that he rather falls short of your graces. Kendrick one last time reminds us he's not a savior we should look up to. He recognizes that some people look up to him as a role model, but he admits that he prefers to be transparent and face criticism rather than living in a superficial facade. And so, with these 18 songs, Kendrick presents a vulnerable side of himself that is rare in other acts. By acknowledging his flaws and drawing comparisons to Jesus Christ, he overcomes the pressure brought by criticism and opens the way for people to look at him for who he really is, a flawed man who's likely to do mistakes, but who's eager to live a transparent and vulnerable life in front of anyone who's willing to watch. Thanks for watching. Peace.